to the channel of Universal Group of Institutions. I am Ritvika Malik here with the part 3 of our series on parliamentary proceedings. So in today's series and session we are going to discuss about the joint sittings of the parliament. So in case there is a deadlock between the two houses of the parliament resolves such a deadlock through a joint sitting that is given in the Constitution of India. So we are going to see at the rules of such a joint sitting. We are also going to see at the productivity of the parliament and what are the issues that the parliament is facing in the present times. Also, aspirants, we will not keep ourselves limited to the issues, but we will also discuss the parliamentary reforms to address the issues that are there in the Indian legislature. So without any delay, let's quickly look at the joint sitting of the parliament under Article 108 and what are the presiding rules for such a joint sitting. So when there is a disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha under Article 108 of the Indian Constitution, both the houses can sit together and resolve the dispute. So what are the disputes that may arise? What are the three situations that the Constitution discusses when a joint sitting can be summoned? So first is if there is a rejection. So if a bill is passed by either of the house while the other house has rejected the bill while voting, at such a situation the president can summon a joint sitting, right? And also keep in mind that the joint sitting can be summoned only if it is a ordinary bill, all right? The second instance when the president can summon a joint sitting is if there is a disagreement on the amendments recommended by a house. So when either of the house recommends any amendment and the other house has rejected that amendment or disagrees with such an amendment, in such a situation also the president can summon a joint sitting. The third instance for joint sitting is time lapse. So if there is more than 6 months gap without the bill being passed by the house, by any of the house for that matter, in such a situation also the president can summon or call a joint sitting. Now, once a joint sitting is called, what are the rules and exceptions for such a joint sitting? So aspirants, please keep in mind the presiding officer for a joint sitting of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is always the Speaker of Lok Sabha. In case the Speaker is absent or there is absence of Speaker, then the Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha gets to preside over the joint sitting. In case the Deputy Speaker is unable to present themselves, then the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha becomes the presiding officer of a joint session. Please keep in mind that the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, that is the Vice President of India, never presides a joint sitting. The reason of such a provision is because the Chairman of Rajya Sabha is not a member of either of the House of Parliament. So since the chairman is not a member of the House of Parliament, that is why the chairman also does not have the power to preside over the joint sittings of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now, moving away to the forbidden bills. So as in the previous slide we were discussing, only the ordinary bills, if the three instances takes place with respect to ordinary bills, in such cases only the joint sitting can be summoned. If the bill is a money bill or a constitutional amendment bill, the president cannot call for a joint sitting. Please keep in mind that money bills and constitutional amendment bills cannot be discussed in a joint sitting. So in history, 3 times such a joint sitting has been invoked when the Dowry Act of 1961 was being discussed, the Banking Services Act of 1978 and the Prevention of Terrorist Activities Act, which was of 2002, was being discussed. At that time, the joint sittings were called upon. Now we will look into some of the issues that the Indian Parliament or the legislature is facing these days. So the first among these issues is the shrinking parliamentary days. It has been observed that in 1950s, on an average, the parliament met for 120 to 140 days. So the process of national deliberation extended to around 140 days in a year. However, in the present time, the annual average of national deliberation has sharply dropped just to 60 or to 70 sittings. So now questions are being raised about the executive accountability towards legislature. So this is one of the important issue that the Indian Parliament is facing in the present time, the issue of shrinking parliamentary days. Another very crucial issue that the Indian legislature is facing is with respect to the bypassing of standing committees. So the standing committees scrutinize the bills that are discussed in the parliament. Standing committees consist of experts from different fields who can have a nuanced study of the bills. So these non-partisan committees have been bypassed with respect to the discussion of bills that are introduced in the parliament. So the standing committees actually strengthen the parliamentary control over executive because these specialized experts actually ask questions that are relevant with respect to bills on various issues. Although their recommendations are non-binding, keep in mind the recommendations of standing committees are non-binding, but the perspective that they bring towards the discussion of each bill is very crucial for the functioning of Indian democracy. So during the 17th Lok Sabha session, according to a report published by PRS, although the parliamentary committees were producing reports, but nearly half of these reports were merely action taken reports. So these reports were looking or tracking the government's response to the earlier recommendations, thereby showing that the potential of these department related standing committees are not being utilized to its fullest. The effectiveness of DRSCs are not being utilized. Now another concern that has been raised in the recent past with the functioning of Indian legislature is with issue of classifying bills as money bills. So as you are aware that the Rajya Sabha has lesser powers when it comes to money bills. So therefore the ordinary bills are also being classified as money bills to bypass the scrutiny of Rajya Sabha. The bills that even have non-financial provisions including the Aadhaar Act and the PMLA amendment, whereby non-financial provisions of the bill were also classified as money bill and it was passed in the Rajya Sabha as a money bill. Another concern is regarding the vacant position of deputy speaker in the Lok Sabha. So in the 17th Lok Sabha, the entire tenure from 2019 to 2024, the entire tenure of Lok Sabha was being served without any deputy speaker. So although Article 93 mandates that election of a deputy speaker is necessary, however, the statement as soon as may be has kept a loophole whereby the entire tenure of 17th Lok Sabha there was no deputy speaker who was being elected. Now if these are the issues that the Indian legislation is facing, what are the reforms that have been recommended? What are the way forwards for addressing such issues? So the National Commission to review the working of the Constitution. So this commission has actually recommended that a mandate compulsory minimum of 120 sitting days for Lok Sabha and 100 days of sitting for Rajya Sabha should be implemented per year. So this mandate will resolve the issue of the shrinking parliamentary days that we have discussed in the beginning of this session. Another recommendation is opposition business days. So to increase the accountability of the executive towards the legislature, there has been this recommendation that like UK, where there are days that are reserved for the opposition to set the agenda of the house. So such an activity helps to keep the executive in check, whereby the opposition themselves will decide what debates or what issues are going to be discussed in that particular day within the session. Another important way forward or parliamentary reform that has been recommended is mandatory committee scrutiny, whereby it has been suggested that the referral of complex bills to the standing committee should be made mandatory before the final voting in any of the house. But such mandatory committee referrals also can have certain exceptions, whereby if the bill is passed by a 2/3 majority vote in each house, the recommendations or the scrutiny report by the committee can be bypassed. So without the 2/3 majority vote, the committee's recommendation should be added in the bill. So like this, the bills would be made more relevant with respect to the target audience. So these are some of the way forwards and the issues, as well as resolving the deadlock between the two houses that we discussed for the session. I hope you found the session useful. Please stay in touch for other such interesting videos that are going to be there for you in the upcoming sessions. Thank you, and till then, keep learning.